What if we told you that Paramount Skydance just might force Warner Brothers Discovery to accept the hostile takeover? Daddy Warbucks, Larry Ellison has just stopped by with his wallet full of cash and said, "Hey Zaslav, guess what? We are going to own you, not Netflix." And really, Netflix's shareholders just might be celebrating. Hello, folks, and pop the champagne. More exciting news out of Hollyweird today. And guess what? It's back to Warner Brothers versus Paramount Skydance. And I say that way because truly, I think Warner Brothers doesn't like Paramount Skydance. They want to be owned by Paramount Skydance. But I don't see any way this plays out now with Netflix getting the win. Click the like button. We'll explain why. Share, comment. And folks, if you would, consider becoming a hype clicker of the channel. The time is ripe to click the hype. And let's get started right now. All right, Variety is reporting from Todd Spangler that Paramount Skydance says Larry Ellison has made an irrevocable personal guarantee, a guarantee of $40.4 billion towards the Warner Brothers Discovery bid. This changes a ton of stuff. Paramount Skydance, seeking to reassure Warner Brothers Discovery shareholders that its hostile takeover bid is solid, said that Larry Ellison has made an irrevocable personal guarantee of $40.4 billion towards its $108 billion all-cash offer for Warner Brothers Discovery, seeking to derail Netflix's pact. Paramount, led by Chairman and CEO David Ellison, who is Larry's son, also upped its breakup fee to match Netflix's $5.8 billion figure, payable to Warner Brothers Discovery in the event that its deal does not clear regulatory review. Paramount announced Monday that it continues to offer $30 per share in cash for 100% of the outstanding shares of Warner Brothers Discovery, a bid that would encompass all assets and liabilities of Warner Brothers. Now, you might say, okay, what's Netflix going to do? And maybe Warner Brothers just says, screw you, we're not going to take that deal because for some reason we love Netflix more. For that, folks, I go to Charlie Gasparino, who I think has been the very best when it comes to covering this stuff. From Charlie Gasparino, breaking. He says, so this is me combining some reporting and doing a little spitballing of the drama. He says, my guess is that Warner Brothers comes back with a pound sand response to Larry Ellison's latest, and personally backstopping his son's 30 all-cash offer. And why? On the grounds that it's still inferior to Netflix, 27.75 cash stock offer for studio and streaming. That's because the Netflix deal includes a payment for the equity stub of the cable asset spinout. Based on my reporting, Warner Brothers is valuing the stub, that's CNN and all the other cable channels, at around $4 a share, and that gets you close to $32 a share. I do know the Ellisons and their partners at Redbird Capital are prepared to cover the breakup fee in the Netflix deal, which they did, and increase their offer, and here's the key, increase their offer by as much as 10%, while they argue that anything more than $2 a share for the equity stub is wishful thinking. But going up to 10%, folks, this is where we get into this might be a game changer, and I agree. I think Warner Brothers is going to come back and say no, because I think there's something more at play here. I think there's something political at play here where the Ellisons are not supposed to gain control of Warner Brothers. But the problem is, if Skydance, Paramount, if they're willing to go up an additional 10%, Netflix may have had enough. Netflix may actually not counter and go higher. And that 10% increase could be what wins this thing. Netflix is down more than 25% over the last 6 months. And folks, where did the dip really begin? It began in late October. What started happening in late October and then in November? We got word that Netflix was pondering this. And the CEO, the co-CEO of Netflix, went and met with President Trump to start clearing the way for this. Stock begins to drop. When it got serious, though, that's when it really began to fall. And now we're down at 93.24 for Netflix. Jonas, I'm not sure Netflix has the stomach for this to keep going. I'm not sure their shareholders are excited about this. What say you?
That seems like a good read to me. Netflix has been a very straightforward company for a long time. They even got rid of the DVD business because it was too complicated for them. And now they're saying they want to be a more complicated business. Or alternatively, they're going to buy Warner Brothers, use it for the IPs, and sell everything off. So I actually think the IP one is the more likely, but what they're saying is they want to be a more complicated company with theatrical distribution, home media again, and making discs and Blu-rays and all that for home consumption. So I think that this is this is probably confusing to the kind of person who is investing in Netflix and cares about the value of Netflix. Netflix is a very simple proposition. They pay other people to make content. They put it on their massive streaming service that essentially everyone who has a streaming service watches, and then they just rake in the profits. With Warner Brothers, they would have to get involved in content production in a way that they have not in the past. They would have to actually make the direct bets on what they're doing instead of a nice, we're going to pay $50 million for this. We'll probably get our money back when we put it on the streaming service. If not, it's there for a while. It's there forever, whatever it is. With this, they have the risks of a major studio, and I don't think that's not the kind of business that Netflix has been in for forever.
Here's the other part of it. So, and I'm going to give credit to LW Ghost. LW Ghost, this is such a brilliant thought. What about if Paramount decides to wait until the cable channels are spun off? And then Paramount comes in and says, you know what? We're going to get 50.1% of these stocks. It's not as expensive then. And I don't see how Netflix can stop this. I just don't. Maybe I'm wrong, but I just don't see how Netflix can stop Paramount Skydance. The media, though, continuously seems to be all determined that Netflix is going to win. We've stuck by this saying that I really think that I think that Paramount Skydance has they're betting everything on this. They're putting all their chips on the table. I don't know that Netflix wants to have all their chips on the table for this. I don't know that it's worth it to put all the chips on the table for this. To muck it up, sure. To drive the theaters out of business, sure. But to go all in to the point that you might actually damage the company, I don't think so. Not when you can walk away and be A-okay. Ron, what do you think about it? What's happening here?
I'm still waiting for Wacko, Yakko, and Dot to weigh in from the water tower
for their eviction.
Yeah, no, it's been such an interesting battle. I've also loved hearing Tom Connors, his take on the whole thing. And again, I cannot wrap my head around why Netflix would want Warner Brothers when. In the end, for them, if Paramount gets Warner Brothers, they're still just going to lease the material and the content and put it back on Netflix. So even if Paramount wins, it's also a win for Netflix because then it's less expensive for them to get the content and make money off of it. I don't understand why. I could understand why Comcast came into this, right? But they very, very quickly backed out. I just don't understand. I feel like there is something deeper going on for why Netflix and whoever it is, as far as the actual individuals involved with this deal want Warner Brothers. And there's a part of me that says this is all political and has nothing to do with the actual business and what shareholders would want. And that's what scares me the most, because some of the things that Netflix has put out has been overwhelmingly questionable. And I don't like that. I would prefer that they just stay a streaming service and they, they play all sides. They have all the content. You go in, you sort what you want to watch. I don't like the idea of them getting a studio and being able to have that much control and then possibly even taking away over time the theatrical experience. But it's I don't know. This whole thing is it got weird.
Got real weird. Folks, you come to this channel because you want us to break things down in a way that you might not find other places. And you want to get ahead, right? That's the whole idea. Get ahead of the culture curve. We used to be around here known for our scoops. We've kind of let our foot off the pedal a little bit there. We still talk about those kinds of things, but I'd like to just give everybody a thought on this one. Okay? If the expectation is that Warner Brothers is absolutely going to get picked up for 32, 34, whatever, why is it at $28.99, Jonas? Why is it at 28? Well, 29 exactly, Lauren. They did it just for us right then. Lauren, why is it at 29 on the dot? If it's a given this thing's going higher, it seems like, and no financial advice from me, seems like shareholders might have some concerns that's not what's going to happen here.
Yeah, this whole thing has been goofy, in my opinion. They've pumped up the value of this Warner Brothers stock to a level that I think is ridiculous. But they obviously both want this studio. They want it real bad. I'm curious to see what happens when one or the other gets it. Because the assumption is that hopefully that increases the value of your company. But what if it doesn't?
They've basically tripled the stock, Lauren, in the last 6 months.
Yeah, and somehow you've got to recoup that. It's the same thing that Disney ran into when they purchased Lucasfilm. They paid more than what they paid for Marvel because that was Lucas's stipulation. And they immediately had to turn around because they knew that the company wasn't worth that much and said, rush everything into production. We need a movie in theaters in 2 years. And look how that worked out. So I'm afraid they may end up with the same kind of a deal here.
I think you're right. Folks, we'll pay attention to it, but just know it looks more and more to us, perhaps, like Netflix doesn't want to be involved in this fight. It's going to get ugly. And now that Daddy Warbucks, Ellison, has come in with all that money, it's going to get real funny if Warner Brothers still says to them, long term, no. Because now the shareholders are going to want to know why exactly. It is such fun getting to spend time together, folks, but we have come to the end of yet another video. Well, that makes the mainstream scratch their heads, pull their hair out, and wonder, how is it we continue to do what we do? But you know what we do this for? It's for you. To keep bringing all the knowledge of entertainment, explaining what's going on in Hollyweird each and every day. And you can help us continue on that way by clicking the like button. Share, subscribe, click it, stick it to those algorithms. It's the notification bell. Share this out on your favorite social media platforms, and we would love to have you drop a comment right on down below. Share your thoughts because, well, your thoughts truly do matter, and we mean it. As we get ready to say goodbye, we end with the common refrain. Folks, wherever you are and whatever you're doing, keep learning, keep growing, and keep having fun.